you're watching GW News Recap. I'm your anchor Azin Jamir, bringing to you the top stories of the week. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Polling for the 28th Koridang Assembly constituency by-election concluded peacefully on April 9, recording a voter turnout of 82.21% across 30 polling stations. The National People's Party has sought a re-poll in polling stations under the Allegiant cluster in Nagaland, alleging large-scale irregularities and suspension of voter turnout in the 28th Koridang Assembly constituency. Fresh violence has once again shaken Manipur after suspected militants from the hill areas dominated by the Kukizo groups launched a bomb attack on a civilian house in the Moirang Dronglaubai village in the Bishnupur district. US President J.D. Vance said that no headway was met during 21 hours of negotiations with Iran in Pakistan, even as a ceasefire in the Middle East hangs by a thread. And now the news in details. Polling for the 28th Koridang Assembly constituency by-election concluded peacefully on April 9, recording a voter turnout of 82.21% across 30 polling stations. Polling day was reported as peaceful with no incidents of violence recorded, despite pre-poll unrest in the constituency, including incidents that claimed one life and caused damage to property. According to official data, a total of 18,045 votes were cast through EVMs, along with 253 postal ballots and 18 votes under the PWD category, taking the total votes polled to 18,316. The constituency has an electorate of over 22,000 voters. Turnout varied across polling stations. The highest percentage of polling was recorded at Mangmutong polling station 2 with 99.08%, while the lowest was at Allegiant polling station 2 at 15.30%. Officials said measures such as deployment of forces, arms deposit and imposition of night curfew were implemented as preventive steps to contain violence. They maintained that these actions were not intended to harass voters but to ensure law and order. Responding to allegations that security forces sided with a particular political party, officials denied the claim, stating that equal opportunity was given to all voters and that those without valid identification were not allowed to vote. On pre-poll violence, police stated that 4 individuals have been identified in connection with the incidents in Mangmutong, where properties belonging to supporters of an independent candidate were damaged. In the Longkam incident that resulted in one death, 2 additional arrests were made on polling day, taking the total number of arrests to 18. A special investigation team has been constituted to investigate the case. At the conclusion of polling, officials thanked election personnel, security forces, civil society organizations, church leaders and village councils for the cooperation in maintaining law and order. The National People's Party has sought a re-poll in the polling stations under the Allegiant cluster in Nagaland, alleging large-scale irregularities and suppression of voter turnout in the 28th Koridang Assembly constituency. In a formal complaint to the Election Commission of India, the party highlighted what it termed an abnormal drop in voter participation in Allegiant. According to official data cited by the NPP, only 1,323 votes were cast out of 3,310 registered voters, resulting in a turnout of around 39.9%. In contrast, neighboring polling areas recorded turnout figures ranging between over 70% and as high as 99%. The party claimed that Allegiant alone accounted for nearly half of the uncast votes in the entire constituency, suggesting what it described as a localized suppression rather than a natural variation in turnout. It also pointed to specific polling stations where turnout reportedly fell to as low as 15% and 23%. The NPP alleged that the presence of security personnel, particularly IRP forces, created an atmosphere of fear among the voters. It further claimed that polling was disrupted for nearly an hour due to the actions by election authorities, including what it described as excessive identity verification checks carried out by the ECI observer and district officials. According to the party, no compensatory measures such as extending polling hours were taken to address the disruption, which it said disappropriately affected rural voters. women, elderly citizens and daily wage earners. Alleging possible misuse of state machinery, the NPP expressed concern that the developments may have influenced the electoral outcome in a closely contested seat. The party has submitted video evidence to support its claims and urged the Election Commission to intervene. Invoking provisions that guarantee free and fair elections, the NPP has called for immediate action, including a repoll in the affected polling stations. Fresh violence has once again shaken Manipur after suspected militants from the hill areas dominated by the Kukizo groups launched a bomb attack on a civilian house in Moirang, Tronglaubi village in the Bishnupur district. The attack killed 2 children and triggered panic in the conflict-prone region. According to local sources, the projectile struck a residential house in Tronglaubi village, causing a powerful explosion that instantly killed 2 children. The blast damaged the house and left nearby residents in shock as villagers rushed to rescue those inside. Security forces have placed the area on high alert following the attack, with additional deployments rushed to the sensitive belt to prevent further escalation. Another disturbing incident has intensified public concern over safety in the state. On the evening of April 6, a 7-year-old girl who had been reported missing from the Akambat relief camp was found dead in a nearby area under suspicious circumstances. The twin incidents, the bomb attack that killed 2 children and the suspected rape and murder of the young girl, have triggered widespread grief and outrage across the state. Civil society organizations and community leaders have strongly condemned the violence and demanded swift justice as well as stronger protection for vulnerable civilians, particularly displaced families living in relief camps. Authorities said investigations into both incidents are underway, while security forces remain on heightened alert in sensitive areas. Residents in several peripheral villages continue to live in fear of further attacks from surrounding hill positions. Puducherry and Assam recorded the highest ever vote turnouts at 89.83% and 85.38% respectively, while Kerala saw a 78.03% turnout as 2 states and Union Territory went for polls on April 9. This election in Assam was the first since delimitation in a northeastern state in 2023, a controversial exercise given that it has led to the redrawing of constituencies in areas where the Muslim community's votes were influential, shrinking this from 32 of the state's 126 seats to 22. The BJP contested 90 seats, Assam Gana Parishad 26 and Bodoland People's Front 11. The Congress has opted for Lok Sabha MP Gaurav Gogoi to lead its campaign and contested 99 seats, leaving 13 for the Ride or Dal, 10 for the Assam Jatiya Parishad and 6 for smaller parties. The election for the Kerala 140-member assembly constituency is shaping up as a 3-way battle with the BJP, which normally struggles for traction in the southern state, expected to do better than usual, particularly after a strong showing in the December local body polls that saw it win the Thiruvananthapuram mayor post. Jifnist Binari Vijayan's left coalition has played the community card for crowning its 10-year governance record, highlighting infrastructure development and welfare schemes and its crisis management capabilities. The Congress-led UDF coalition, however, has accused the left front of widespread corruption and has been boosted by big wins in the December polls. In Puducherry, the contest is between Rangaswamy's NR Congress, which is allied with the BJP, and Tamil Nadu's AIA-DMK, and is up against the Congress-TMK alliance for the 30-member assembly. Actor Vijay's Tamilaga Vetari Kasakam TVK also made its electoral debut through its main focus is the Tamil Nadu poll. US Vice President J.D. Vance said that no headway was made during 21 hours of negotiations with Iran in Pakistan, even as a ceasefire in the Middle East hangs by a thread. The US Vice President said that the US sought an affirmative commitment that Iran will not seek a nuclear weapon or try to develop one in the coming years. The President claimed extensive damage to Iran's military capabilities, asserting that its naval and air assets had been neutralized. Iran maintained that the talks failed due to Washington's unreasonable demands. Among the key talking points of the negotiations, apart from Tehran's nuclear program, was the Strait of Hormuz, the critical marine choke point on the Persian Gulf, which remains all but blocked by Iran. The U.S. Navy continues operations to sweep mines on the strait where shipping activity remains severely disrupted. The war, which began on February 28, has killed thousands of people and shaken global markets and impacted all countries in the Gulf region. The talks in Pakistan were the highest diplomatic engagement since the Islamic Revolution in 1979. The highest level direct contact has been made when President Barack Obama, a Democrat, in September 2013 called newly elected Iranian President Hassan Rouhani to discuss Iran's nuclear program. Iran's new supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei is still recovering from severe facial and leg injuries suffered in the airstrike that killed his father at the beginning of the war. Khamenei's face was disfigured in the attack on the supreme leader's compound in central Tehran, and he suffered a significant injury to one or both legs, sources said. The 56-year-old is nonetheless recovering from his wounds and remains mentally sharp, according to the people who requested anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. He is taking part in meetings with senior officials via audio conferencing and is engaged in decision-making on major issues, including the war and negotiations with Washington. Khamenei's whereabouts, condition and ability to rule still largely remain a mystery to the public, with no photo, video or audio recording of him published since the attack and his subsequent appointment as his father's replacement on March 8. Khamenei was wanted on February 28, the first day of the war launched by the US and Israel in the attack that had killed his father and predecessor Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who had ruled since 1989. Mojtaba Khamenei's wife, brother-in-law and sister-in-law were among other members of his family killed in the strike. The accounts of Khamenei's injuries tally with a statement made by the US Secretary of Defense Pete on March 13 when he said that Khamenei was wanted and likely disfigured. Well, viewers, that's it for this week's news recap. And for more news like this, you stay connected to Global Window.